What it do, 2K fans? It's your boy JuKIng the Boss, and I'm back at you with a double header. Now, we're going to talk about the 2K League's opening week. We're going to talk about how the park can benefit and how the 2K League can benefit by working together. But first, I want to jump into creating jump shot packages. Now, jump shot packages is entitles all the packages of every jump shot that you select, from your hop step jumper to your turnaround to your post fade. All those jumpers are dependent on the release 1 and release 2 of the jump shot that you create or the jump shot that you select. So we're going to go into some of the best practices when creating those jump shots, and then we're going to talk about the league and their opening week. Let's get into it. Now, when it comes down to choosing your jump shot or creating your jump shot, I chose to go with both my jump shots have the same base because I use this base so heavily now. But I chose to go with jump shot 74 as my base, and then James Harden release 1, Steph Curry release 2. And with this blend, it's a 35-65 blend, 65-35 blend. And the thing about this is that I went with this jump shot base because at the end of the day, the releases will help dictate my releases for all of my other jump shots. And we're going to dive into that, but make sure you know that going in, that every shot that you have, from your free throws to your dribble pull-ups to even your post moves, are dictated by the jump shot that you select, the releases of that jump shot. So as you see, with my jump shot selected, I got free throw 9, athletic 11, and we're going to dive first into free throw 9. Now, and I like free throw 9 because at the end of the day, it's one fluid motion, and because of the releases of my jump shot, it's very easy and very smooth. I know exactly when to release at the very top, and it doesn't really hurt me at all. And even with my new build, the low overall that I have and not having any badges, this build is hitting his free throws consistently and consecutively with a nice high percentage. Now, for my dribble pull up, I usually go with athletic 11 and athletic 12. I blend between the two every now and then depending on what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. Athletic 11 and athletic 12 both have a straight arch back, well, a straightened back, so it allows for a cleaner follow through and almost a automatic release at the top of that shot. Now, with my spin jumper, I usually use the regular stiff jumper because at the end of the day, it keeps my left foot out in front of my right, giving me a nice easy shot, easy follow through, and I hit very consistent with this jumper because of that. Now, the hop jump is very important. I use normal 14 when it comes down to it. I've been messing around and trying to find the perfect hop jumper for myself, but I like hop jumper for a number of reasons. One, because when you get that quick step back, that nice large space, first of all, it's slow enough to a point where you have enough time. If you don't want to just pull the shot, you can then stop, let it line up, and then pull your normal shot. You'll already be in position to pull it. Second of all, it creates so much space, it gives the defense a hard time to react and close out. So, you know, it's a great jumper to go with, especially if you got like a middle of the way build trying to get something going. Now, when it comes to the post move selections that I go with, first of all, I'm gonna start off with post fade 11. If you notice, it lines up the back nice and straight. It lines up the camera nice and straight when it comes down to the release. So I like to follow through with that. Also, I will mess around with fade 12, because at the end of the day, post fade 12 is another one that's slow enough where in the pro-am I can get it done in tight space. 11 is good for open space for me, but 12 is good for post work when it come down to the pro-am. Now, for my post hooks, it's not but 4 to choose from, so I go with hook 2 because it's more of a glass shot hook, and we all know that for real, aiming for that glass, aiming for that box, a little more consistent than anything else. Now, when it comes down to the post hop shots, now my post hop shots, I love post hop 2 because once again, it lines right into my jump shot, follow through with that left hand, and it straightens up the body a little bit, so I feel like I get a little more control and a little more consistency with it. Now, like I said, as you can see that nice little post fade turn, and it goes into the same thing when it comes down to my shimmy shots. Now, my shimmy fade, I go with 7 because once again, pushing off with that left, and most of the time I'm straightening up the body, so that way when it comes down to the camera, not messing me up, camera relative, whatever, I'm gonna be good to go. And that same can be said with my post hooks. I go with my post hooks because for real, most of my post hooks actually end up being off the glass because I don't do it from right within that set. I do it from on the outside on the sides. And there are a couple of key talking points when it comes down to choosing your layup package. First and foremost is almost any layup package can work, but remember the build of character that you have and the position that you play, the height, the size, the weight. Those things are going to come into a factor. So if you're a tiny guy trying to use explosive, you're not going to hit as consistent because the simple fact is that you really can't body people through, and the game kind of reads that a little bit. Now, for me, I use the floater specialist. mainly because it also triggers acrobatic layup, and at the same time, most of the time, it triggers relentless finisher. But you want a layup package that goes off the glass. Second of all, you want to make sure that you know that the layups are determined on when you release the right stick or when you release the button. So making sure that you're releasing at the right time and not just releasing as soon as you see the animation trigger, that's going to help you perfect your layups making ability. All right, so now that we done got the jump shot out the way, let's go over a couple of things that I realized. And I've been watching the 2K League, checking the games out, seeing what's going on. The chat has been kind of wild because just everybody's looking for pink diamonds. So you get a little bit of conversation every now and then, but you knew that it was going to go. But when it came down to it, when looking at the format of how the league is set its seasons up, and realize that part of it is trying too hard to be realistic, and part of it is trying too hard to set a tone, and it feels like it's coming off in the wrong light. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand why you use broadcast camera and things like that, but when it comes down to it, if they had did it kind of like, if they want to be realistic about that part, they could have used multiple camera angles. And I don't mean like selection based angles, I just mean that if you noticed in the tournament last week, they were bouncing every now and then, they bounce to a 2K cam, or in replays like you see in the season, you're seeing the 2K cam get used, so you kind of see the perspective of the players on the court, and just kind of bounce between cameras like that, like you use the majority of the time on the broadcast camera, but then every now and then highlighting the 2K cam to see what a matchup look like up close and personal. It makes the audience to feel more connected to it, and I think to me that was the problem. There were a couple of good games going on, but I kid you not, my favorite game of them all was Knicks and Warriors opening it up, and it was because of the way the game ended. Like, the way the game ended showed you everything that was kind of wrong with the players themselves. Like, you got 15 seconds left on the clock, and Warriors managed to come down and get a game tying basket and left like 5 or 6 seconds on the clock, and the whole team started celebrating, but nobody got back on defense. I think you literally had maybe 1 or 2 people back on defense, and so they kick a half court pass down to an open man for a 3 that gave them the win, and they didn't have enough time, and Warriors didn't have enough time to actually do anything because they had no timeouts, so they couldn't get it past half court, so they had to hope that they can throw something down there. That thing was funny because literally they toss it down court to a man while the whole team is walking up court celebrating, and I'm looking like, yeah, that right there in the NBA will get a whole team fired, because the game isn't over. You play whistle to whistle. You don't stop playing until the game is over. So that was funny. People are gonna make mistakes like that, but I thought that was what made that game interesting. It wasn't the fact that it was a close game to the end, it was just how it ended. Now, when I look at everything that's going on in the league, and when it comes down to those games, it got me thinking about the park and ways that they could have actually implemented a format like that with the park. Now, to me, the thing that's hurting the league is that the game's kind of boring when it boils down to it. Like, the games are not exciting through and through. And just like NBA, the games don't always get exciting until it's in the last couple of minutes. But when it comes down to a video game, there were better ways of doing it. Now, I want to see if they could do something like that with Park. Now, I plan on trying a couple of things out throughout the summer in the playground, and I'm going to reach out to the community for help with that. And I'll do a video describing that and what I got up my sleeve for the subscribers in the long run. Now, if they can set it up in the park where you got tournament style games going on, big prizes on the line, that would draw a lot better. And that's only because at the end of the day, people play 2K and they watch 2K for almost the same exact reason. The excitement that kind of goes on at the park. When you got a good game going on, and because the games are short and quick, so I wouldn't mind seeing them extend the games to maybe 30-point games as opposed to 21. But when you got these quick, exciting games going on where the buckets are back and forth, but there's a score limit, and then at the same time you got all these crazy passes, all these crazy dunks that go down. Like, I think the fact of taking out the ability to choose animations, I understand taking away certain animations, but I think taking away the fact of the ability to be able to use animations, like you're seeing these players feel like they playing out of their element because They're not doing animations that they would normally do, and most of them aren't doing animations at all when it comes down to dribble animations. Most of the time it's just left, right, cheese, and go to the basket, and I think that's what makes it kind of boring. So hopefully going through the process and seeing how the community responds and the feedback they get, that's why I always say it's good to share actual feedback, whether it's negative or positive. Critical feedback is the difference between a game being successful, a league being successful. And the one thing I'm hoping that they also learn from the other esports divisions is that when it boils down to it, the esports kind of shape the game itself. Throughout the history, esports have put themselves in position to make the game a whole lot better and put the devs in a place to make the game more responsive, more user-friendly, but at the same time understands where the competitive bone is in that game and how to amplify that to create excitement. Now with 2K, when you look at the league, it is setting itself up to be partnered with the NBA, and that's all well and cool. But when it comes down to it, I wouldn't mind seeing at least of the tournaments that they do, like the mid-season tournament that's coming up and things like that, if these things were done in park format. You know, they recreated an engine for an exclusive pro-am. Now, I would like to see these mid-season tournaments and near-ending season tournaments, all up until you get to the championship tournament and everything like that. I would like to see some of these tournaments be park-related tournaments. You want to give new life. You want people to have a reason to watch the league and see what these guys can truly do. Allow them to play a little more unhinged, and no matter what, stop secretly running that 5-out offense. It's literally what makes it boring to watch. Like, especially when you're watching in broadcast. Like, if you're watching it in 2K, you don't necessarily pay too much attention to what everybody else is doing on the court. But when you're watching in broadcast, I saw a couple games where you saw some actual good formations being run, some good sets being run, and I thought that was pretty cool. But for the most part, it was like we just go back to this. Now, at the end of the day, it's effective on offense when you're running positionless offenses and everything like that. But these builds have positions, they have archetypes, and the only thing that you really supposed to do with a 5-out for real is when, like, I won't say everybody on your team is skillless, but it's more along the lines of when they really don't know what they're doing, you give them a basic offensive set to be creative with it. So I'm hoping that moving forward, as we progress through the weeks and as we progress through the summer, we see some slight improvements occur in the league to make it a little more exciting. I understand that the pink diamond cards and codes they're sending out got people tuning in, but it's still only about 4,000, 5,000 at a time. At least they're being consistent with the number, but I'd love to see more come to it when it comes down to the league. Hope you guys and gals enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on notifications for all the future videos. And like a Pokemon trainer, I'll catch you all next time. Peace.